Hello everyone, hope you are well. By the way, today is Sachin Tendulkar's birthday, so very happy birthday to Sachin Tendulkar, and may you have plenty more. And today I'm not giving a cricket video, I'm actually giving a video on the seven deadly sins and a little bit about it. I have written it about in my book, but this is just a little bit of it, not exactly because otherwise the video will be very long. Sorry. The seven deadly sins are not in any order: gluttony, sloth, wrath, envy, pride, and lust. So they are the seven deadly sins. It was written about it by Saint Thomas as well. And greed is when someone is in pursuit of excessive materialism, like material goods. You are in need, like, or you are in pursuit of excessive material things and or goods in life. That is where greed comes into play. Gluttony is when you overeat and overdrink. Great gluttony. Sloth is when you have excessive laziness to act and use one's talent. Wrath is when you have excessive, extreme anger or hatred towards someone. Then pride, obviously, pride is when you have an excess regard for oneself, and kind of I'll come back to it. Pride. And then envy is basically jealousy, and when you want what others have. And then lust is when you have a strong passion or longing for sexual desire, obviously. So these are the seven deadly sins, and just give you a definition of them. Greed, obviously, it is a very big sin, and greed, a lot of people have that. People greed for money, greed for material possessions. You see that a lot in this world. And talking about, I did mention that video about Hansikronia, where he said that he had a greed for money, and that is the one that led to his downfall. So it is actually a very big sin, greed. So there's nothing much I have to say about it. Obviously, it is wrong to have excessive desire for material goods, and unfortunately, a huge majority of people in the world belong to that category. Gluttony, it's kind of overeating. I don't really think it's much of a sin. Yeah. If you really like food and you eat a bit too much, I don't see it as such a big sin. But excessive drinking, if it's alcohol and you excessive drinking, obviously is bad, and that is definitely a sin. But the eating side can be excused, in my opinion. And then sloth is laziness to act, and excessive laziness to act and use one's talent, and that is a very big sin, because if you do not put your talents to use, it's a big sin, considered as a big sin. And even in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that action is better than inaction. It's one of the big statements of the Bhagavad Gita, when he talks to Arjuna. So action is better than inaction. So not acting or going at a very slow pace, laziness to act, is a very big sin. Something that probably won't have forgiveness for sin, or not a forgivable sin. And then you've got wrath. Wrath is extreme anger or hatred for someone, but there's also something called godly wrath. I mentioned in my videos, I'm just talking about myself, where I love children so much. If I saw someone trying to abuse or molest a child, or not, it doesn't even have to go there. Even before that, I would definitely be extremely angry. It will. I have felt wrath like that, and I have acted in South Africa and in India, and I don't think that is wrong. Maybe in front of in the eyes of the law, it might be wrong, but I don't. In the eyes of God, I do believe in God. Obviously, yeah, or at least your conscience. If you don't believe in God, at least you have to believe in your conscience. According to my conscience, it is not wrong to have wrath against things that deserve wrath. If you see someone trying to abuse or molest a child, or someone trying to misbehave with a woman, yeah, you need to have wrath. And I believe that if you if you put your life on the line and if you defend the child or the woman, God will protect you. I mean, that is my personal belief. For people who do not believe in God, uh, but you have guts or courage, do the right thing, and you something will come up. That's what I will say. Do not wait. Don't be a coward and wait for someone else to do something. Be the first one to act. If you see something wrong, especially crimes committed against children and women. So the wrath is something I would kind of justify in a way. I mean, if it's the right wrath, that's why I said there is something called godly wrath. But otherwise, I mean, normal, if a small thing, I mean, if someone took your chocolate and if you showed wrath, I mean, that is not right. Or, so obviously it depends on what, right? I told you about two extreme incidents about children and women where they have to be protected. So that wrath I can understand, but smaller things, obviously, you have to control your temper and do accordingly. And then envy, and that I would say in my book, the biggest, I can't say biggest, but one of the biggest, the worst, in my opinion, is probably envy as well. It's a disgusting thing, and I have to say, in my life, I can be maybe accused of 100 things, but that is one emotion that I have never felt once in my life. I've never felt envious or jealous towards anyone. I mean, envy anyway is jealousy when you need want others have, and I don't understand why people. There are so many people who are extremely jealous. You see that a lot, probably in India as well, and a lot in Kerala. Unfortunately, a lot of gossip, a lot of jealous people. Gossip kind of comes from jealousy in a way, and I do not understand it at all because if you are jealous of someone else, like let's say A is jealous of B, it doesn't. If A is jealous of B, it doesn't mean that the things that B has or belongs to B will come to A. I mean, not that I personally want someone else's things. So, like, if there was a chance of you were jealous and it will come to you, I'm still not going to be jealous because it's just not in my nature. I mean, if someone has a lot of things, good for him. I mean, it's his things, good for him. I just don't get the point of it, and I don't even know how you feel jealous. So that's why I'm trying to talk about it. But so I'm just saying, people who have a little bit of jealousy, I mean, who can probably stop that and get that out of before it gets out of hand, because a lot of people live with a lot of jealousy and envy that they can't help with. But in early stages, it's something that if you realize that there is no benefit in being jealous or of someone else, the only thing you can do is to be happy for someone else's success. So that is what I have to say about envy. And pride, it's kind of a very fine line because pride is excessive regard for oneself. There is, I mean, if you, let's say, if you do any kind of job, you need to take pride in your work. If you're a cricketer, you have to take pride as a cricketer. If you're a musician, a singer, you have to take pride as a musician, as a singer, or a writer, whatever art, etc. But that fine line crosses when you are too proud of yourself and you look down on others. That is a problem, and so there's a fine line. So you need to be proud of yourself of what you do, but being over proud about it or looking down on others, that's when it really becomes a problem. I mean, so it's like a very, very fine line, that pride. A lot of people get it mistaken. I mean, some people even mistake self-respect for pride. I mean, it's just some people just accuse someone else, or you're too proud, or you. I mean, when they are not really actually proud. You need to really understand a person before you can accuse someone of being too proud. And let's say, I mean, race-wise, religion-wise, definitely you don't have any reason to be overly proud of. Okay, you can say, okay, I'm proud to be an Australian, or I'm proud to be an African, I'm proud to be a South African, I'm proud to be an Indian, I'm proud to be an American. But I mean, just because you are an Indian or an American or a South African doesn't mean you have to look down on others, because you don't have any right to look down on anyone else. That is where the pride part comes, and race as well. I mean, whether you're white, African, Indian, whatever religion you are, sorry, race you are. I mean, there is no reason for you to feel superior to anyone. And there is also no reason for you to feel inferior to anyone. I mean, that is one thing that I mentioned in my a video when I spoke about life. And then there is lust. After a certain age, everyone kind of has a certain amount of lust, but it is obviously a very very bad thing when it goes out of hand. And a lot of sexual crimes, child abuse, rape, these things are obviously extremely wrong. And I have always felt that these things need capital punishment, not even capital punishment. It should be severe punishment should be given. I mean, I would definitely prefer punishment like in the Middle East, where they probably cut your head off or things like that. I mean, and that should be done immediately as well. I mean, in India and all, rape cases, child abuses, all these things, it takes forever. And after 5, 10 years, they sentence someone to jail or capital punishment. That is way too slow, way too slow. I mean, it should be done in a matter of a month at the most. One, obviously, the person should definitely be confirmed convict. So there should be no leniency in the way people should be treated. I mean, the rapists and child abusers, child molesters, they should all just be executed on the spot as soon as possible. That's what I'm saying. And it should be shown as a guideline or like a yardstick so that no one else would repeat it. I think governments all over the world should take it very seriously, sexual crimes against women and children, and deal it accordingly. So that is my video on the 7 deadly sins. I've covered greed, gluttony, sloth, wrath, envy, pride, and lust. Yeah. And by the way, it also, I was talking about sloth. Said the Bhagavad Gita says action is better than inaction. You have also heard the saying work is worship. So I just added to that sloth. So that is my video on this 7 deadly sins. Which is very important for a lot of people, youngsters, older, everyone. And I hope you enjoy it. Take care. Thank you, and may God bless you all.